And welcome back to the episode of the Geek Centurions. Media Boy Live.
It's me, Joe.
And we're here to talk about the state of play that just recently wrapped up. We are here to talk about, well, not all the games because there was a lot of games to talk about, more so than the Xbox Direct. Um, but we are going to talk about a couple games, some of the more notable ones. Um, Stuff like, you know, was it that one game that looked like it was near but not near?
Yeah, I think it's the first game they opened up with, Stellar Blade? Yeah,
Yeah,
Stellar Blade,
Blade,
it's
that's the name
called.
of it.
Yeah, it's, what I assume is some, hot-looking android girl in a post-apocalyptic world, with, mechanical stuff going on,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would make the joke that it's just a Korean-made version of Nier Automata, which is like,
That's fair.
you know what? Yeah, yeah. Main character is a hot female that the trailer likes to highlight a specific part of her body. Yeah, yeah. All right, yeah, okay, all right.
And that's not us saying that. That's the creator saying
I mean,
Nier Automata.
I mean, remember, I think his name is Yoko Taro. Was legitimately like, hey, send me pictures of 2B's butt, please. Just send it to me in a zip file. I
Like
would
if we lost you, I'm sorry, but that is some of the funniest like trivia for that game ever.
Yeah,
He loves the fan art. He's like, just give it to me. I don't care how like
I don't care if it's.
I don't care at all. Just send it to me.
Yeah, I just I listen.
I like art.
I just like the art.
I like the art.
Yeah.
I like the art of my characters.
Yeah. But yeah, it's. I mean, it looks fine. I mean.
Yeah. I think that one caught a lot of people's attention, but just because like one because how much like it looked like near, but two like just the gameplay looks so interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, horniness aside, it looks kind of fun to play.
I like how you said that.
I mean, you don't get me wrong. Like, listen, like that's what people.
No, you're not wrong. The first few things I saw on social media, I was like, whoa, hello, and like, whoa, guys, calm down.
I mean, it's funny because much like how Nier Automata
Oh yeah,
for
no.
2B, right, is very
Oh god.
popular, right? And
Yeah.
people were like, oh, yeah, you know what? This is actually a good game, though.
And no, it is a really good game.
Yeah, I know a friend who really liked playing it.
Yeah, no, but it's like it can't escape that part of the culture.
No, you can't. But
No.
anyways, moving on to the I guess
Yeah,
another topic.
there's not really much to say because it looks like a very interesting game. But I would say it's my first indicator of how this state of play tends to is. Just if it's a very important game, they'll focus on a very long period on it. As in turn of like Silent Hill. Granted, we've been introduced to two Silent Hill games, right?
Yeah, I believe one was the short message.
Yes, and that is was that a PlayStation VR game?
I
It gave me a vibe of PR game, but
I don't know if
I
it
don't
was.
recall. I don't recall. But it's very interesting because, and this is where a majority of our conversation is going to be, because we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Konami and its weird use of its properties, right? Konami, for those of you who don't know, is a video game publisher who's made games like Castlevania, Silent Hill for one. I'm pretty sure there's another one, a small game called Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, Konami, it just has not had a good reputation in the past couple of years. I mean, obviously the breakup between them and the Kojima after Metal Gear Solid 5, that was a whole freaking mess, and it's seeming like
There are better people than us to go over that.
yeah, there's probably a lot of videos covering that sort of topic, and just in general, just Konami's sort of down, like not downfall, but like lowering reputation in the gaming sphere.
Yeah, it wasn't a plummet. It wasn't a jumping off point. It was just like the dude slipped and fell off the stairs and he's still falling. I don't know how he's not dead, but he's still falling. But then again, that's probably because all the pachinko money they make.
I was about to say, like, they're not dead because of all the pachinko machines, which, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, Japanese gambling, man.
They love the gamble. I mean,
they do love the gamble.
They made friggin' gotcha games. That's how you get gotcha games in Japan, and it's like, you have us in the West complaining about loot boxes and stuff. Over there, Japan, they're just eating those gacha games up. Like, yes, give me more. You
So
know,
many gacha games.
so many.
I almost fell for two, but I was too strong for it, I guess.
Sure, that's I'm not gonna say my piece on it. I'll just say, gacha addiction is probably real. Who knows? But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously Konami is having a bit of a change of tune in terms of game development because obviously we have
Yeah, the bigger news aside from Silent Hill 1, this is from last year, was the announcement of a new Metal Gear Solid game? No, it's technically a remake, right?
yes, it's a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3
Snake Eater.
Snake Eater, right?
Yeah.
And but also, I mean, yeah, the remake of Silent Hill 2, which we did get to see a bit of footage of
Yeah.
today as well, which was I think the bigger thing. And as well as with Silent Hill, the new message, right, is
Mhm.
that it was a shadow drop for today on PS5. Which, by the way, I did look it up. I don't think it's a VR game.
Okay.
So it's, there were other VR games that were announced. Yeah, because PlayStation VR 2. You know, I think Sony's still pushing the VR front in terms of that way. Which I will admit, that's always kind of like one of those neat things about Sony.
Yeah.
Right?
What's interesting is that they're not the ones developing the game. The guys who are in charge of the remaking is Bloober Team. They made a couple of games. The Medium was the game I was thinking of. I played it for a couple of days. I finished it. It was very interesting. Probably not the best game. I'm very interested to see how they do Silent Hill though.
Well, I mean, yeah, one they're working off of a remake, right?
Yeah.
So it's more like how well are they able to translate the original game
Yeah.
into a new modern take for
Yeah.
the audience,
It's
right?
even funnier because I remember when they came out with the Medium, and I think they came out with some other games too.
Mm-hmm.
But the Medium was the one that I immediately remembered. I know I have the list of games they come out with, but more to the point is that I can there have been talks about Bloober Team sort of taking over the reins for Konami to make Silent Hill games. Uh, I guess this is their way of being like testing the waters, sort of. You know, it's very interesting to see. I do know that uh, the Shadow Drop one, Silent Hill
The short message, right?
short message,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it kind of gives off that PT feel, which makes this even more funnier that Kojima was also in the state of play.
Yeah, yeah, obviously, the other big drama with Konami was that they were making a new Silent Hills game. It was going to feature Norman Reedus, Walking Dead fame, right?
Yeah.
And
Guillermo del Toro was involved.
yeah, and they had PT, which was like literally was a playable teaser
Yeah.
for the the new Silent Hills
Yeah, because
game.
once you finish the game, it introduces you to the character you're playing, who turned out to be Norman Reedus, and as it cuts to like
Yeah, it's like a promotion thing. Yeah, like
yeah,
Silent
it's
Hills,
like
new Silent Hills
yeah,
game.
Kojima, Guillermo del Toro. I think I remember hearing that Kojima, because Kojima is the kind of guy who has such pull. And we will talk about that in a second. Was able to get Junji Ito to do some of the creature designs, and if that was the case, oh my god, I hate this timeline.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things, but of course after Kojima and Konami's falling out, very famously they pulled PT off the PlayStation Store. I mean, there was ways to find like people were able to save the game into like a PC sort of format. I remember actually playing that with my friends once, and that was pretty fun. Just the the three of us just hanging out on a one night, just trying to play PT and figure out what the fuck to do. But yeah, it's another one of those things of like, oh yeah, Konami's, kind of a dick. But just seeing them like now sort of trying to get themselves back into like the good graces of the gaming community with,
Yep.
Metal Gear Solid 3 remake and now Silent Hills 2 remake, all this stuff. And it's sort of like, it's interesting. Hopefully, the games are good.
That's
right?
that's the thing. That's the thing. Konami is like, come on, guys, we can make games. We're not just pachinko, monsters.
Well, it's like, we're tired of people making fun of us for making just pachinko machine games. All right, we can still make games. All right.
It's always even funnier when you think about like those pachinko. Pachinko games tend to have the most. They sometimes have like a very. They sometimes have like those theme pachinko games like.
Well, yeah, because Konami funny enough, had a themed pachinko machine based off Metal Gear Solid 3, and they used like essentially he had updated those scenes from the original game into like in the
Yeah.
game engine of Metal Gear Solid 5, and people were freaking pissed because it's like we could be having a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Konami, but you're using your graphics teams or whatever. You're using the Metal Gear Solid 5 engine for a pachinko machine, you know?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of games and a lot of franchises and a lot of like cool like stuff exclusively only in pachinko. That is the real console war that should be going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't affect people here in the West very much because we don't get pachinko machines
No.
here. I mean,
We
like,
just got slot machines.
which is
A different kind of addiction.
Yeah, I mean, it's a close enough thing, but even then, most of those stuff, if you look at a slot machines, like, I mean, they don't look like when there was like when there was this themed slot machines, they're just using video from like shows or whatever. It's not like they're making their own unique content with it.
No, it's not. Uh, Before we get to the Kojima stuff, because I feel like there are other games we could talk about. Um, Dragon's Dogma 2 is finally coming out after a long hiatus.
I mean, yeah,
I'm happy for people.
Yeah, because I know that was sort of a, I wouldn't say cult classic, but very under radar game from Capcom.
It was that era of Capcom where they weren't releasing a lot of hits, but they were releasing some okay games, but they were kind of still in like hot water for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly yeah, they weren't like they were probably putting out a Monster Hunter, but Monster Hunter wasn't as big at the time, right?
No, because Monster Hunter started off mostly as like a.
It was a handheld game with
yeah.
the Nintendo systems and like PlayStation and stuff, right? But yeah, Dragon's Dogma, has that sort of, I guess, like hardcore fan base of people like, hey, we really like this game and it was kind of neat.
Yeah. And the reason I'm saying I'm happy for them is because like I know the feeling because I'm also a big fan of a Capcom game that also was in during that era called Asura's Wrath.
That we'll probably never get.
No,
like
because the story's done. It was a one game only thing.
But it won't. Yeah, but like hopefully maybe one day it gets like a next gen port.
If they do that, I'm crying.
Or the closest thing we can possibly get to Capcom acknowledging that franchise is to get Asura in the next Marvel vs. Capcom game. God willing, if there's another Marvel vs. Capcom game.
If you're up there, man, I will take a Marvel vs. Capcom or a Capcom vs. SNK 3. Give it to me. That's all. I want another good crossover fighting game that isn't Blaze Blue.
Or I mean, Dragon Ball's still here once it gets rolled back though.
Yeah, once it gets rolled back. That's when it happens.
Yeah, and speaking of other games, I think Rise of the Ronin was a very interesting.
Oh no, yeah, that was one of the ones that everyone was talking about because of the gameplay. Had I think it was the guys who.
It's Team Ninja.
Team Ninja. It was Koei Tecmo, but they work for Team Ninja. No, Team Ninja works for them. But it was essentially, I think you said it yourself. This is the closest we're going to get to Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, yeah, because it's set in sort of I wouldn't say. I think it's feudal Japan, right?
A little further down.
Further down,
I want to say Edo.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not Japanese.
I mean, I don't think you even need to be Japanese to know Japanese history, but we also don't know Japanese history. So, we did not study this in any school whatsoever.
No.
But
we only know this through anime.
Yeah, which to be fair, that's most people.
That's most people who don't want to actually study.
I'm pretty sure it's set during the time of Demon Slayer. Being an expert on Japanese culture,
I can sense the Japanese audience being pissed at you.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, Team Ninja, it's open world, a lot of traversal stuff. I mean, like it looks like it's faster Assassin's Creed too, because like there's a moment where he's able to climb up like the building and then like shoot into like a friggin' air glider thing, and it's like, wow, that's pretty interesting. Because I'm pretty sure Team Ninja mainly has done Yeah, that's what I thought. Ninja Gaiden, the Dead or Alive series, and Neo, which is like
Yeah.
their kind of take on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Dark Souls game.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
it's kind of neat seeing them continue to like branch out.
we will never get another Zero Alive. Now that you mention it.
Well, I mean, the last one had very bad microtransaction stuff, if I recall correctly. Like, it just wasn't like received very well. But I
No.
mean, I think you could sell another Dead or Alive game. I mean, there's a clear audience for that sort of
Listen,
thing.
listen. If Tekken 8 is doing great, you go for it. But please, also Soul Calibur.
Yeah, please, Soul Calibur. But yeah, it's an interesting looking game. Looks it honestly does look a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think the next, obviously we're skipping over some games, and I would love to talk about those games, but it's we kind of always wanted to focus on the games that hit us the most and get our attention the most. So that's why we're gonna be devoting a lot of more time for this on Death Stranding.
yeah, Death Stranding 2 got a good chunk of the state of play, which I mean it makes sense.
It's Kojima.
It's Kojima Productions.
Yeah,
It's Death Stranding 2, which was a big hit when it came out.
and
So
people were very confused about it still.
yeah, it definitely is one of those like polarizing games, but not in like that it's like badly made because it's not.
It's
Like,
not.
it's just how people sort of perceive the game.
When you're the guy who's known for making Metal Gear Solid, and you've made essentially like some of the best, you know, action games slash stealth games, you kind of think it's gonna be this sort of thing, but it wasn't that. It was something a lot more. Um, what's the best way to describe Death Stranding?
I mean, you could go the unintelligent take in that it's a walking simulator,
Yeah,
um, but it's a bit more. I would probably say that I guess the best way to describe it is that like it's kind of I wouldn't say Minecraft esque, but like it is sort of open up to how you want to play the game, right?
yeah.
And I think that's sort of the
Which
thing.
follows very much with Kojima's last game with Konami.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5 had a lot of options in terms of how you wanted to, approach enemy bases, stuff like that. Which, that was always
Hmm.
a neat thing about that game. But yeah, Death Stranding, it's like you have the perceived expectations of Konami's previous, not Konami, Kojima's previous
Yeah.
works, you know, and it's like, all right, this is completely new, different take. A lot of people like this. Like, hey, this is new. This is sort of original. We want to see more original, new stuff in gaming, right? Like that's
Hmm.
this. I appreciate that, Kojima. Not everything has to be guns and action all the time. This is actually kind of a neat departure. And other people were just like, what the hell, Kojima? I was expecting the second coming of Metal Gear Solid. What is this nonsense, right?
Yeah. And but like to be fair, those trailers were very very confusing
I mean, yeah, I think that was
to a point where I kind of hated them.
yeah, cause there is a bit of like, oh, what does this mean and what does that mean and oh, look at all this and we have all these celebrities
You
and
got Guillermo
actors.
del Toro, Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen. Um, who else?
Yeah, just a lot of a
If
lot
you
of
haven't been keeping up with Kojima, he's been becoming very good friends with a lot of celebrities, like celebrities.
yeah. I mean,
And the director for Mad Max, what's his name? Is escaping my tongue.
isn't it George Miller?
George Miller is in this trailer. He is in the first 5 seconds in it, and I'm just like, wait the fucking minute.
it's it's kind of I mean the obvious running joke with Kojima is that he is a fan of Western media. Like he is probably what you would call a Westaboo,
Yeah,
right?
that's what the fans call him.
Yeah, he just likes all that stuff. And you could argue he would very much just like to make his own Hollywood movie, which I think we've said it before. Where it's like, hey,
Just give him the money, god damn it.
yeah, Kojima, just make your own movie. You were even in freaking Sony Pictures like studio lot,
We will talk about that.
which that's a funny thing um, to see. But yeah, it's just sort of like, what is this? You know, like, come on, like Kojima is just like making his own movies, but it is a game, right?
Oh, we were playing Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, right? How long was that opening cutscene?
I don't recall, but it was a long one. It was definitely a long one before you could actually play a game, start playing the game.
No, you only had control of the camera.
Yeah, yeah,
That was it. And that was it. But no, so it's hard to talk about the trailer because it's essentially a lot of stuff that if you haven't played Death Stranding, you won't understand. Slash, I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore. All I know is cool dude with guitar shreds it, shoots lightning, and once you get too close, turns into a literal axe.
yeah,
Because a lot of people sometimes call guitar, especially electric one, an axe.
yeah. That's
And I'm like, that is the coolest shit ever. God damn it, Kojima. Once again, you got me.
you son of a bitch. I'm in.
Yep, that's basically it. Like every time I'm like, God damn it, Kojima, I don't understand that goddamn thing is going on, but you keep roping me in.
Yeah,
I am Al Pacino in this shit.
yeah. Just when I thought I was out, you dragged me right there.
You dragged me right back in, you son of a bitch. I love you. Oh, but like, I think the cool thing about it is just the world and what's going on. But it's also like very stylized, right? It's a very like stylized world. Like I love the scene, and it's just so Kojima. It's so like that Kojima's kind of writing. The lady who puts like the cigarette, and for one reason, she has a mask that looks like it's made out of gloves, right? She's covering her face,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, well, why is that? But then the hands start moving, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then there's a scene where the hands lit her cigarette, and I'm like, okay, that's just kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's cool. And then there's a little puppet guy.
Yeah, who's animated in a different frame rate than everybody else,
Yeah,
which is like so interesting to
it's
see.
so cool.
Yeah, it's a similar effect to Spider Verse, right?
Yeah,
Where like all the characters sort of move at their own frame rate, kind of, right?
yeah. You probably wouldn't notice it if you don't have an eye for it, but like it's yeah.
But in this one, it's definitely
Oh
noticeable.
no, yeah, because everyone's moving at probably a crisp 60 frames per second because
Yeah,
gamers like it that way.
yeah, like their fidelity, right?
Yeah,
And
fidelity.
then and then you got this little puppet dude who's just like spazzing out here.
Yeah,
It adds to his weirdness, right?
yeah,
Like
it's so cool,
yeah,
so cool. But like more to the point, right? And they're hyping up the game. They're hyping up some of the gameplay in there too. It's coming out in 2025. It looks like it's more of the stuff that you kind of already know Dress Riding 4. They're adding a little more action because I guess even Kojima's like, okay, I gotta make everyone happy.
yeah, probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like it still looks like a fun, like a not just a fun game, but a very like interesting, like thought provoking kind of game, which is very Kojima, right?
Hmm?
And yeah, I'd look forward to that. But I think the part that everyone was talking about was the fact that he's about to make another, in his words, tactical espionage. He's making another, not Metal Gear, but Metal Gear game.
Yeah, a sort of a stealth,
Yeah,
sort of style game, right?
and I'm just like Kojima. It's something. It's so funny because literally the big thing that the people are talking about from this direct, right, this state of play, is that Konami is they're bringing back a lot of their franchises that Kojima had a hand in to an extent, right? He didn't make Silent Hills.
No, but he was producing the next one,
Yeah, he was
right?
producing the next one, because he was like the prodigal son,
Mhm.
right? And now he's gone, and he's like, I can do him better. I can do it better. I don't have to be held back. Because now he's not only is he making a tactical espionage game akin to like Metal Gear Solid. It's not gonna be called Metal Gear Solid, but you know what's gonna be going on there.
Yeah.
But he's also making, because let's not forget, yeah, Death Stranding is Sony exclusive. The tactical espionage game is gonna be Sony exclusive. But then there's OD, the game we talked about back in the Game Awards,
Mhm.
which is an Xbox exclusive game,
Mhm.
and that's a horror game. So he's kind of he's doing what he wanted, and I'm very excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be neat to see Kojima's sort of creativity unshackled and
Yeah.
unbound. Just see where that goes. In all of his sort of creative endeavors. Because
Mhm.
yeah, like getting to see one of gaming's most prolific game directors, and makers, just do his own thing. Get to do what he wants. That's always neat,
Yeah.
right?
But the thing that we mentioned this earlier too, he's in the studio a lot.
Yeah,
What's going on?
yeah. Like at the end of this state of play ends with Kojima and I forget, it's like another Sony
Yeah.
representative just talking it out, and it cuts, it zooms out of them being at
Very cool
the
camera work.
yeah, being in like the Sony Pictures lot. I don't know. I think it probably is somewhere in LA. I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those. It's like a weird thing of like he it could be just be there because they want to just to hang out and just film their
Mhm.
talking head portion there, or is that just a weird subtle hint of Kojima actually maybe getting a film thing running, or yeah,
I, I, either that or they're giving him the law to do whatever kind of game he wants.
yeah, that too, right?
But I'm very excited to see where Kojima, like, just god damn it, Kojima. Everyone's just giving you everything, and I'm very impressed. But yeah, no, that's essentially the end of the state of play. Yeah, I feel like we talked mostly about Kojima and his stuff because he took over the fucking state of play to the point where they're like, next week we're doing another one for Final Fantasy specifically.
I don't think it was next week, but I think it was the next one.
Yeah, no, it's 2nd of February. They said.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Was it? No, not the 2nd of February. But it's supposed to be next week, the 6th, I think. Yeah, it was on Tuesday.
Right.
But no, 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 yeah. So they're doing a Final Fantasy specific 1-7 remake because that game's coming out next month, and it's very hyped. Yeah,
Well, yeah, it's that makes sense.
yeah. No, I think the state of play has been very solid. The games we mentioned are probably the more interesting ones. A lot of people will go starting comparing this one and the Xbox one, but I feel like again they're two kind of different things now, where it's kind of really no point in like comparing it. Apples or oranges.
Mhm.
Yeah, some guy will prefer apples over oranges or vice versa, because of course they will. But like, they're different. They're not meant to be comparable at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I get where you're coming from in that sense. Obviously they're both showing off the slate of games that will be coming to
Mm.
each of their systems, but um, I think you mentioned it in the last episode. I think when we talked about the Xbox um, sort of developer talk or whatever,
Mm.
where it is quite a bit more of just talking about just the developer sort of insights and stuff like that. And while the Sony one also has developers talking, it's mainly more of just like, hey, this is basically what our game is about. We've been working hard on it. This is where it's supposed to be releasing. That sort of thing,
Mm.
right? Um, like Sony definitely leans more into co-opting a lot of more of the Nintendo Direct style
Mm.
compared to how Xbox does it. So,
Yeah, and I think that's honestly a good place to end this conversation with, because like we are. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're excited for these games. We're looking forward to them. A lot of people are looking forward to Kojima's games because like it's again Kojima, and like he kind of deserves the praise, and It's he will not disappoint the people. And yeah, no, if you enjoyed what you heard, this is where we will kind of put a pin on it. Be sure to follow us on all social media: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're most active on Instagram, and you'll probably find a link to all podcasts that we're officially part of, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and all the like. And you'll find a link to YouTube for all you audiences out there who want to put a face to the voice. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good jazz. And support us in any form on Patreon. And yeah, it's been me, your boy, Eli.
Beef Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace. And hopefully good, Sony State of Play.